Number 1. Ghost. The party reaches a small village that is inundated with a ghost problem. Every so often, people are acting peculiarly and seem to have fits complaining about ghosts, and the healing house is struggling to cope with this. The party needs to get to the bottom of this and uncover the secrets. The twist is, the people acting peculiarly are actually the normal ones, and everybody else is possessed by ghosts. The call for aid was simply a trick to trap adventurers to steal their bodies, their lives, and to spread the curse further, and the party are the most recent victims. Number 2. Archmage. An archmage is sitting in their tower and is using a crystal ball to scry on the surrounding areas. They spot the party and take a fancy to them. They decide to turn their adventuring into a sitcom for themselves, pushing obstacles at the party or sending minions to sow discontent. The question is, how long does it take for the party to break the fourth wall and bring the archmage into their own reality TV show? Number 3. Gladiator. A disgraced gladiator is found stumbling around in a drunken stupor. They have lost their funding and their fans and have resorted to the bottle. Helping them out leads the party to a world of match-fixing, corruption and doping with illegal and demonic substances, which stretches right to the highest echelons of society. Number 4. Guardian Naga. A young guardian Naga has been tasked with guarding this powerful artifact for the owner. However, it is struggling to do so and asks for the party's help in setting up defences. After a while, it becomes clear that the item it has been tasked to defend is a cure to a disease, and the owner is an evil tyrant keeping it hostage. Do the party betray the Naga, or try to convince it of its owner's nefarious ways? Number 5. Wererat. The party spend the night at a tavern at the side of the road. They wake up to find all their rations missing. In fact, all of the food in the tavern has gone missing. Following the literal trail of breadcrumbs reveals an underground small clan of wererats who have hoarded all the food. The wererats look starved and are gorging themselves. Does the party kill them all and take the food? Or try to reason with this collection of twitchy creatures? Number 6. Basilisk. The party are travelling through a mountain range and come across a smaller peak that is a rather strange shape. Upon investigating further, it looks like the peak has animal and creature figures carved into its walls. Most of these carvings seem angry or afraid, with faces of anguish staring out at the party. One of the party puts their hand on the wall to inspect further, and it gets stuck. The wall slowly expands to start absorbing them, and the familiar scuttling of basilisks approach. Number 7. Huge giant crab. The party arrive at a small industrialised town. Everything seems normal until they experienced weird sounds that no one can place. It seems louder inside buildings than outside. After thorough investigation, it turns out that a new inventor has built a sewer system underneath the town unbeknownst to everybody. The inventor used giant crabs to burrow through the soil, but lost track of some of them recently. The party needs to venture into this clean, untouched sewer level to find the crabs, but these are no longer the trained crabs after what they have found underneath the town. Number 8. Elephant. A travelling circus interrupts the party's path, with the whole works, acrobats, clowns, lions and everything. They all look very subdued, however. It turns out that their trained elephant, Nelly, has been stolen. They try to follow the tracks, but they seem to go in circles, and wild animals attack whenever they try and investigate further. If the party choose to investigate, they can push past the wild animals and uncover a druid's grove, where Nelly the druid is taking a well-earned holiday and has a few demands before returning to work. Number 9. Pentadrome. In a mix-up in Mechanus, the party are captured while asleep and arrive in Acquisitions warehouse for a Modron workshop. The Modron in charge of acquisitions tells the party to go to talk to the Modron in charge of strategy, who in turn sends them to complaints. The party end up in endless bureaucracy until they work out that this workshop seems strange. The only thing that these Modrons are acquiring is adventurers, and all they are producing are servants for the lower planes. Number 10. Umber. The party wake up after a particularly confusing nightmare in an area they do not recognise. The surrounding area seems like a deep underground cavern, and the only clue to their situation is that their weapons are dirty and a trail of blood is leading away from them. As they head through the caves looking for an escape, they find more and more clues as to what happened, ending up in a final cavern with a pair of Umber Hulks, one trying to heal the other from bad wounds. The only exit is behind them. Number 11. Griffon. It's the day of the big horse race. The beloved mayor's horse is the favourite to win, and everyone in town has turned out to see it. The pre-race procession starts, and the crowd is cheering. The mayor rides her noble steed into the arena to adoration. Suddenly the cheers turn to cries, as the racecourse is beset by griffins. People try to fight them off, but there are too many of them. When they dissipate, all the horses are gone, and so is the mayor. Number 12. Flumph. A town that has been going through a difficult time has a wonderful surprise one day. The townsfolk wake up and there are hundreds of flumps everywhere. This improves the mood of the townsfolk and things seem to be getting better. Harvests are better and fortunes improve. The party arrive at this town and enjoy the festivities. The next day, however, the flumps are gone. Through the next few days, the fortunes turn again and things are miserable. When things reach breaking point, a ransom note appears at Town Hall, demanding payment for the return of the flumps. Do the town pay? Do the party try and bring the flumps back by force? Either way, this is just feeding the town's flump addiction. Is this just a retelling of the Opium War in a fantasy setting? Maybe, but not every one of these stories is going to be fully unique. Number 13. Beholder Zombie. An adventurer has just returned to town celebrating destroying the nearby Mind Flayer nest. He returned hauling a trophy behind him, a dead beholder, which is placed ceremoniously in the middle of the town square, with people throwing stones at it. The party arrives to find this, and can partake in the stone throwing if they want to. The next day, however, the trophy is gone, and no one is quite sure where it went, until a groaning starts to build during the morning meeting, and the beholder, now zombified, approaches flanked by regular humanoid zombies. Who awoke these creatures, and why did they take this opportunity now? The party has a mystery to solve. Number 14. Giant Crab. A young girl sneaks through the house late at night. She sneaks to the kitchen and finds the cookie jar. She carefully pulls out 2 cookies and wraps them in a blanket. She heads out to the front door and through the village towards the nearby beach. There is a pretty sunset, and she sits and waits. After a few minutes, she starts looking concerned, and then she notices some footprints in the sand that match the friend that she had agreed to meet. She creeps over and studies them closely, but a shadow then looms over her. A giant claw grabs her and pulls her into the surf. The party arrive in the town the next day, and the only clues are the tracks and the cookies left on a blanket on the beach. Number 15. Orog. The party is captured by a marauding band of orcs. They are tied up and thrown in cages and are going to be used as slave labour. That is, until one of the orcs announces that the leader wants to see them. The leader is clearly revered for their strength as well as their intellect, which surpasses all of the other orcs. This orc is an Orog, known for its cunning and battle tactics. The party are forced into the largest tent in the camp and are confronted with a rather rotund dwarf in green makeup wearing fake muscles. He implores the party to help him escape, saying that he used to travel with a performing group, and the orcs had rescued him from their clutches weeks ago, and he hasn't been able to escape since. Number 16. Durar. The Paloxit artifact has been kept in this small village, and it's been keeping it safe for many, many years. Unfortunately, it's now broken. Misfortune follows quickly after. The mayor of the village puts out a plea to any adventuring parties or aspiring blacksmiths to fix the issue. The main problem is that the artifact was forged deep in the Underdark in the Durar forges, and a trip to the Underdark is not for the faint of heart. If the party undertakes this quest, they will travel to the Underdark and seek out a famous Durar who made the first version. However, this stickler Durar will refuse to help initially, telling the party he doesn't trust surface dwellers after the mayor's ancestor messed him over the first time round. The party need to convince him to help, or use the forge themselves to make the new relic, but both of these choices come with dangers. Number 17. Acolyte. A monastery to the goddess of peace was destroyed, and there was only one survivor, a lowly acolyte who is scarred beyond belief and knows information about the attack the head bishop of the goddess needs to hear. Unfortunately, the head bishop is on the other side of the continent, and the acolyte has been cursed so that he is unable to teleport or use message. If the party try to get the information out of the acolyte, it will sound like chaos and be unintelligible. Only those with the blessing of the goddess of peace have a calm enough mind to understand it. A journey across the continent ensues as the acolyte becomes the target of more and more furious attacks, the party defending them the whole way. The group becomes a thing of legend, news of their travels stretching all across the land. Weeks later, they arrive in front of the head bishop, and the party watch as the acolyte approaches. As he gets close, he draws his knife and stabs him. Why? That's for you to decide. Number 18. Flying Snake. A local zoo has been struggling financially. They are down to their final few gold pieces, and in an act of desperation, they contact a sorcerer, paying him the remaining gold and ask him to revitalize their animals. He does this by putting spells on a variety of them, making them more energetic, making them multicolored or breathe fire. Unfortunately, no one discusses these with him, and therefore the leading attraction, a 30-foot long python, has been given the ability to fly, and fly pretty fast at that. The party approaching town see said python flying away and the desperate townfolk chasing underneath it. The party need to chase down this flying snake, who seems to be flying somewhere in particular. Was this a true accident, or did the sorcerer have an ulterior motive? Number 19. Doppelganger. The party come across a small settlement in the outskirts of a rather dangerous land. The settlement seems to be only occupied by children and teenagers. They tell the party that they should probably leave, as anyone who stays overnight who is over the age of 21 disappears immediately. If the party stay the night, they will be attacked by what appears to be a child, but quickly reveals itself to be a shapeshifter. The fight will end with the doppelganger escaping. In the morning, the child they initially saw at night is now missing too, meaning the doppelganger has changed its disguise, removing another child to take its place. The kids become more and more scared and angry at the party, who they blame for losing their friend. What does the party decide to do? Leave the doppelganger to hide and disappear children as they turn 21? Or try to find the ganger and end this cycle? Number 20. Animated Tree. As you are walking down the road, a tree suddenly blocks the path. If the party turn around, that same tree also blocks the path after a few minutes. Investigating the tree reveals an arrow in its branches directing the party. This tree will continue to reappear in front of the party and eventually will direct them towards a castle surrounded by animated trees. Approaching the castle will reveal that a sorcerer lives here, who is awakening the entire forest. What's their end goal? That's for you to decide. Number 21. Centaur. A city full of sleaze and corruption has been expanding its territory into the nearby woodlands. Hundreds of trees have been cut down and thousands of animals have been displaced or butchered. The Baron of the town is gleefully planning his latest expansion when he hears word that all the horses in the town are acting incredibly weird. They are refusing orders and running around causing havoc. The Baron calls in an adventuring party to try and unearth the issues with his stallions. The party arrives and checks out the horses. Previous attempts at dispelling or detecting magic have failed, but one of the horses lets your ranger near. As they soothe the horse, it reverts to its normal form, a centaur. It turns out that all of the horses have been replaced with altar-selfed centaurs, and the stage has been set for a rebellion. Number 22. Bandit Captain. A local crime spree has started in a town that had until recently boasted a 0 crime rate. The locals are shocked and suddenly begging for the town guard to be funded more again with better weapons and better armour. The local mayor concedes and invests in the latest equipment and also hires in your adventuring party to uncover and remove the bandits. The party set a trap and uncover a meeting of the bandits. They are all hooded and looking very ominous as they head to the meeting, but as soon as they arrive, they pull down their hoods and reveal they are the townsfolk, fed up with their funding being cut by the mayor as there is no crime, and therefore they took matters into their own hands to force funding back up. But why was the funding cut in the first place? And how was there no crime up until recently? What's really going on here? Number 23. Gibbering Mouther. The party has angered the local lord and have been imprisoned by the town's guard in a brand new dungeon devised by the new court wizard. Turns out this wizard spent some time with aberrations and has collected a selection of defanged, gibbering mouthers. These things can't bite and deal damage, but they can confuse the prisoners into madness. How are the party going to escape when they can't even trust their own actions? Number 24. Winged Kobold. While exploring a deep cavern, the party stumble across what appears to be a battlefield, with kobold blood and bones all over the place. Clearly, a battle took place here recently. They follow the trails of retreat to one of the camps and find a camp of red kobolds treating their wounded. The leader tells you to leave, that they have no quarrels with you, and they need to save their resources for the blues. But before the party get a chance to leave, a genetically engineered flying blue kobold attacks the Reds' camp. Will the party take sides, or leave these kobolds to their own war? Number 25. Succubus. A local politician is getting angrier and angrier. He keeps losing elections and can't help but be annoyed at that the corrupt mayor keeps getting elected. Dejected, he returns home to try and sleep it off, but his sleep is interrupted by dreams of playing the mayor at his own game, extorting people to gain votes, and taking control to help people. The next day, somebody turns up at his door to be an advisor. The advisor helps him achieve these aims, and eventually he gets elected after cheating and lying. Suddenly, his advisor disappears. Turns out this is the 5th time this succubus has corrupted a well-meaning politician at this town's expense. Can the party break the cycle? Number 26. Death Tyrant. An archaeology site on the outskirts of town has unearthed an underground temple. It is full of riches and sacrifices to a powerful being, but not one that has been seen before. Most of the temple is easily excavated, but there is one locked door. This door seems sturdier than anything else that the local excavators have seen before. Not even magic can get in. After hours of explosives and lockpicking, it eventually swings open to reveal a giant's skull. Initially, it looks inanimate, but as the magic and the light enter the vault, its eyes start to glow again. Soon the people understand why this thing was locked away. Number 27. Grimlock. The party arrive at a small village in the middle of a fete. There is much singing, laughing, and merriment. One stall, however, seems strange. It promises to read your future, in return for a single copper piece. You pay your way and close your eyes, and the next thing you know, you are in the same village, but it's dark, and there are no villagers to be seen. Instead, this anti-village is populated by cannibalistic grimlocks. Is this the same village? Who was that creepy soothsayer, and how do the party get out of here? Number 28. Ice Devil. An old man, withered and aged, stops the party at the side of the road, asking for help. He says that he was robbed, but he will give the party his prized possession if they transport him back to town. Any insight check will confirm that this man isn't lying. Upon returning to the closest town, the old man will smile, chuckle, and release his prized possession, a trapped soul of an evil tyrant, which will force its way into one of the party members' heads. As they fight for control of their own body, the old man transforms into its true form, an ice devil, and proceeds to start ransacking the town as revenge for robbing him of his freedom. Number 29. Thug. The party arrive at a small town that has been plagued by constant raids, that seem to be increasing in severity as time goes on. The town is inundated by thugs weekly, and they seem to be getting more and more violent and more determined each time. The party decides to try and stay to fight off the next invasion. Successfully doing so and interrogating one of the thugs reveals a cryptic note that simply states the village name and a payment. The note creates the payment when the thugs arrive near the village. Pressing harder will reveal that they found the note outside the Lord's manor, but not necessarily from the Lord. These notes are being thrown from a window and seem to be magic themselves. Who's sending these notes? And what are the party going to do about them? Number 30. Sea Hag. A small band of sailors return to port, having sustained heavy casualties. Apparently, a sea hag preyed upon them and lured most of the crew to their demise. The owner of the vessel, Captain Juliet Harbinger, is looking for able-bodied soldiers and adventurers to try and take revenge. The party heed the call. The voyage is going well, with training and warnings about the dangers of sea hags. After a day of sailing, they approach a cave in the cliffs. As they get within 30 foot, two figures rise from the depth and start attacking. But don't hag covens usually consist of three? Well, the laughing from Captain Harbinger's cabin may say a lot. Number 31. Flesh Golem. An execution is about to take place as the party enter the city. Cheering crowds are calling for this criminal's death, saying he committed treason against the king and crown. Before the party can get to the stage, the axe falls, and a cheer raises up from the crowd. That is, until they turn to screams of fear. One person in the front row of the crowd grabbed the head as it fell and slammed it onto a hooded figure slouched next to them. That figure slowly started convulsing before shedding the cloak to reveal a flesh golem, with the face of the criminal returned to life. Number 32. Hobgoblin Captain. A tribe of hobgoblins have been pillaging all the villages locally. The party are hired to try and track them down. They locate the camp and infiltrate the captain's tent. They wait for him to be alone. Just as they are about to jump out, a rather lumpy-looking hobgoblin deforms into a pile of 4 goblins, who have been masquerading as the captain for months now. Will the party need to beat these hobgoblins, or just show them their leader's deception? Number 33. Hippogriff. The party come across a notice board with news of a missing pet and a reward for anyone who manages to find it. They inquire with the owner to discover that the pet is a hippogriff by the name of Susan. Susan has gone missing before, but normally returns after a week or so. This time, it's been over a month. Tracking down Susan will send the party on a wild goose chase that ends up at the owner's ex-wife's. Turns out Susan was still loyal to both of them and had been spending a week with each in turn. But now the wife had built a stable and kept a lock on Susan to keep her with her. Are the party ready to arbitrate this couple's affairs? Number 34. Skeleton. All the bones in a city have gone missing. Animal bones from the butcher and human skeletons from the crypt. No one knows what has happened until one night there is a rattling. A huge skeleton made up of bones from across the city raises up and dwarfs even the biggest buildings. Sitting in the chest is another skeleton, clearly the creator of this thing. Who is this skeleton, and how has it become so powerful and creative? That's for you to decide. Number 35. Animated Armour. The town guard are having a well-earned break in the tavern that the party frequent. Captain Piotr Heavensby stands up, armour glistening in the candlelight. Congratulations everyone, the recent festival went ahead without a hitch due to your fine policing. Cheers! But instead of raising a glass, he brings it down on the deputy next to him before screaming. His armour now has a mind of its own, and the clanging from the armoury implies that it's not the only one. Number 36. Flameskull. Flameskulls are creatures that are created from the deceased remains of powerful wizards. They retain some memories though, and their own voice, which gives rise to this following story. The party need a password for a magical secret door. Unfortunately, everyone who knew the password has disappeared or died long ago. The party are ready to give up all hope, until news that the voice of the great wizard Imolio was heard in the forest not too far away. Investigating the forest reveals an evil mage's castle, being guarded by flameskulls, one of which bears a striking resemblance to Imolio, and seems to be muttering something about a door as it does its rounds. Number 37. Imp. Imps are devilish creatures who report back as spies for more powerful fiends. Not all of them are good at their jobs though, which gives this story. The party are hired by the owner of a tavern to clear the basement of rats. Again, a classic. They dispatch most of these rats with ease, but one of them seems a little more feisty. As they corner it, it turns itself back into an imp and it surrenders. Turns out it was sent to the prime material plane to find epic adventurers. But it's lazy, and now it is decided to just follow your party around until you become epic adventurers. Saves a lot of effort on its part. Number 38. Revenant. Revenants take over corpses in order to enact revenge on those who did them wrong in life. Normally they inhabit their own corpse, but if that's not available, any corpse will do, which could mean, once the party have dispatched a collection of bandits, one of them shoots back to life. It starts to slowly walk towards them, but then walks right past them. The party can follow this newly formed revenant into the local town, where one particular villager is terrified. Which villager is that? Well, that's up to you. Number 39. Wereboar. The party come across a pack of what they assume to be wild boars. They move closer to investigate, but are stopped by a cry as a dwarf stands up in the middle of the pack and wards them off. If the party promise not to hurt any of the boars, the dwarf will relax and explain that he's on edge as his boars keep getting attacked at night. He's even taken to sleeping with them, but it doesn't help. He begs the party for their help, and if the party agree, they set up camp for the night. Suddenly, and without warning, the dwarf starts moaning and oinking in his sleep and begins to turn. What do the party do? Number 40. Elephant. Again, I used a wheel for this and it seemed to come up twice. An animal activist has decided enough is enough. The elephant at the local zoo has been trapped in an enclosure that is far too small for it. Thankfully, this activist is a novice alchemist. They decide to brew a growth potion to allow this elephant to escape. Unfortunately, they got the ingredients slightly wrong, and now an 100-foot tall elephant is rampaging through the city, and a group of adventurers are needed to slow it down. Number 41. Treant. The Forest of Life was attacked. The lifeblood of the village is now nothing more than a pile of ashes, but there is one single hope. It seems that the prized oak was uprooted and stolen before the attackers burnt the rest of the wood down, and there are tracks leading away from where it once stood. Following these tracks leads the party to the great oak, which is actually a treant who ran away when her forest was burning. She is too scared to return unless the perpetrators are brought to justice. Unfortunately, she only has vague descriptions of who did it, and it's up to the party to work out their identities. Number 42. A swarm of poisonous snakes. The party arrive at a tavern in the middle of nowhere called the Serpent's Jaw. There are a few weird looks from the other patrons as they enter, but the drinks are cold and the beds are comfortable. As the party drift off to sleep, there is a faint whistling in the wind, but nothing else. Then they are rudely awoken by something slithering over them. They shoot upright to see that every fixture, every floorboard, and every window has snakes pouring in from it. They need to fight their way out and get as much of their stuff as possible. But what is this tavern, and how did it end up existing? Number 43. Minotaur. Wouldn't it be funny if instead of a minotaur in a maze, there was a maze inside a minotaur, the farmer muses? An overly ambitious stonemason overheard this and gets to work building a huge minotaur statue with a maze inside just to prove that he can. 1,000 years later, the party find themselves deep inside this stone beast's insides, trying to recover an artifact and get out. Surely the stonemason didn't put another minotaur inside the maze inside the minotaur. Number 44. Gorgon. Gorgons in D&D are not quite what you expect them to be. Lots of things in mythology are named Gorgons, but that could give rise to the following story. The party arrive at a town where everything is themed after a Gorgon. Medusa-themed taverns, lots of stone statues, hell, even a shop selling items usually found in hunting Medusa. Apparently, there is a Gorgon who lives near here, and there is a reward for hunting it down. If the party accept, they prepare themselves for a fight with Medusa before encountering a true Gorgon. This metal bull will tear the unprepared party to shreds. Number 45. Chul. Chul are creepy-looking creatures that are faithful servants to aboleths, but the aboleth empire ended millennia ago. That's exactly what the party are thinking when they run into a deep cavern full of these things constructing a railway. What could these creatures be doing? Investigating further uncovers that this railway has been under construction for millennia and is now thousands upon thousands of miles long. As the party head to leave them to their mundane work, they suddenly realise that the railway tunnel is heading straight for an important landmark. What's that landmark? Well, that's up to you. Number 46. Fire Elemental. A small child huddles close to the dwindling flame, the face in the fire giving a pained smile. This fire elemental has kept this group in the frozen north alive for years, but is now sick, and without him the survivors would not last long. As if by coincidence, the party arrive just in time. There is a cure for this sickness, but it's deep in the frozen tundra. It may be worth packing warm for this expedition. Number 47. Knoll. The village of Collingswood is situated in the middle of a desert. The party stumble across it after running from a pack of gnolls. As they cross the boundary, the gnolls seem to stop. Something in this town is keeping them out. This town seems to be very quaint, very picturesque, and a very nice place to live. But why do the gnolls not enter? And how are they surviving without any external connections? Number 48. Helmed Horror. A father was imprisoned away from his young daughter for 50 years. His final act before being taken away was to complete a construct to defend his young girl, regardless of what dangers befell her. Growing up without a father, due to the leaders of this land, has left the girl jaded though, and now she runs a criminal enterprise with her father's creation as her bodyguard. What are the party to do when a bounty is placed upon her head? Number 49. Mind Flayer. The party have been chasing down a mind flayer for months now, and they have just finally reached its lair. They work their way through the defences, mostly constructs and one particularly gruesome flesh golem, and arrive at the deepest layer. Bursting through the door, they are confronted with the Mind Flayer, in a white coat standing over a huge petri dish. In the middle of that petri dish is a half-formed brain. The Mind Flayer looks scared but also malnourished. It seems the party have found the only ever vegan Mind Flayer in the middle of its attempts to create lab-grown brains. 50. The Screaming Princess. A young, beautiful princess looks across the city out of the palace window. Unfortunately, she is to be married tomorrow to someone who she does not love. The prince from the neighbouring nation is fine, but not particularly interesting. She sighs and turns back towards her room, and is suddenly shocked by the apparition standing before her. "You have stolen my beloved's heart. He has fallen for you and your corrupting beauty, and now you must pay." The princess drops to the floor and screams, and screams and screams. A party of adventurers are quickly brought in to find the cure or the cause to the banshee's curse before she turns fully. Number 51. The Hostage Taker. The party enter into a room containing 6 hostages tied to chairs. Each of these hostages know one of the party, but there is a twist. The hostage taker is disguised as one of them, and if any of the other 5 squeal, they will be hurt. The party get to work asking questions, but they all seem to be telling the truth and plead their innocence. Insight checks or zones of truth will confirm this. Your party will be so confused until they realise that every answer the first captive gives starts with a C, and the next with an O. Following this pattern down the line will spell out corner, where the hostage taker is hiding with a crossbow, waiting for the party to take out one of their friends. Number 52. The Beefy Dumb Idiot. An orc barbarian, or really any race with stereotypically low IQ, finds a headband of intellect and now has genius level intelligence. Does he become a warlord? Does he open a shop? Maybe he runs security for a local bank. Maybe starts building his own empire. The idea of a big, strong, beefy, dumb idiot suddenly becoming super smart, even if it's only temporary, gives a lot of space for inspiration. Number 53. The Dragon Centipede. It's been 5 years since the 10 chromatic dragon overlords were slain, and their bodies lay to rest at the top of the mountain. The land has prospered ever since without their cruel control. Unfortunately, there have been rumblings from the top of the mountain, and, worried about any reincarnation of the dreaded worms, the party is sent to investigate. Upon arriving at the slain beasts, they discover the corpses are half-eaten, with huge bite marks on them. It is then that the shadow falls across them as a carrion crawler that has eaten these dragons and absorbed some of their powers attacks. Number 54. The Mimic Witness. Lucas the Kenku is only 2 years old. He has been taken on a trip to the neighbouring city by his mother. Unfortunately, on that journey, they are beset by bandits and the mother is kidnapped. Lucas managed to escape though into the long grass and waited for any kind of help to appear. Suddenly, a group of brave adventurers turn up. He runs up to them, but then he realises that he didn't get a good look at the bandits. The adventurers seem willing to help though, so he does what he does best and starts repeating the bandits' voices over and over again, hoping they understand. Number 55. The Rage God Defense. The party are in the basement of the fallen god of outrage and anger. They have found the crystal that has been emanating the disasters that have beset the surrounding settlements, Now they just need to purify it. As they approach it though, a tripwire is triggered. Suddenly hundreds of footsteps are heard in the corridor running towards them. Hundreds of berserkers charging them down while the purification process, which will take a whole minute, completes. Can they protect the crystal and themselves from this angry horde? 56. The dragon in sheep's clothing. A white dragon has been plaguing the eastern continent for years, until recently it met its match. A silver dragon focused on protecting the creatures of this land fought hard to keep it in check. Then, a month ago, that silver dragon vanished. All hope was lost until a group of marauders claimed that they had caught the white dragon and brought it tied up and muzzled into town. The party greet these heroes along with everyone else, but your perceptive cleric noticed something strange. It seems to be dripping white paint, and is there a glint of silver underneath it? 57. The lazy guard of hell. Horned devils are the most lazy amongst all the fiends, and as it turns out, this could be great news for your party. A horned devil has been stationed at the gate to hell, stopping anyone from entering or leaving without due process, but your party need to get past. Thankfully, if the party promise to take over this guy's job from him for the day, they can come and go as they please, but that involves processing hundreds of souls. Being the judge of the dead isn't too hard, right? 58. The laugh in the dark. A trickster god has trapped the cleric's beloved in the middle of a forest. The party heads straight in to find them. Suddenly, the forest descends into complete magical darkness, consuming everything. And that's not all. The trickster has sent its minions into the forest, huge beasts that can only be located by their sickening, monstrous laughs. 59. A new kind of Tarrasque adventure. Millennia ago, a Tarrasque was sent to sleep by a powerful mage and imprisoned miles beneath the ground. Recently, the ground has started rumbling as the great beast stirs, and it falls to your players to go and re-administer the sleeping curse for this generation. The only issue is that to administer this curse, they have to go deep inside the Tarrasque, and a Tarrasque's immune system isn't an easy thing to deal with. What kind of defences do they have to face? Well, that's completely up to you. Number 60. King of the Shrubs. Blurt the goblin is walking through a field one day when a scroll falls from the sky and bonks him on the head. He rubs his head and tries to read it. He didn't take common at goblin school, but he's a smart boy and so he knows a few words. He recites the words and suddenly the bush next to him perks up and wanders over. Blurt's eyes widen. The next week, a group of adventurers encounter none other than King Blurt of the Shrublings, and now they must bow or be attacked. Number 61. The Giant Rat's Giant Revenge. Bartholomew, the giant rat, has lived in this tavern basement for his whole life. The rest of his pack were pretty dull, and he found it hard to relate to them, but he still loved them. One day, however, a group of awful big people came down with swords and magic. That was 6 months ago, and now he has been training, enhancing. He's heard that those adventurers are returning to town. He hopes that they have a bigger sword this time. Number 62. The Growing Alligator Conundrum. The alligator pet of a local tavern owner has gone missing, and the party need to find it and give it its medicine. They track it down to a group of local teens who eventually reveal that they made it invisible as a practical joke and now they can't find it. Unfortunately, its medicine stopped it growing out of hand. Every single day that the party doesn't find it, it will increase in size until there is a monstrous, invisible alligator in the town. Number 63. The Bogeyman Problem. The orphanage was attacked by a ferocious monster. The party tried to work out what it is from the kids' descriptions, but they all seemed to think it was something different. One was adamant that it was a lion, while the other says that it flew in the window like a small dragon. Finally, one is confident that she saw a man's face staring at her. The party will need to pull these problems together in order to fight it off the following night. Number 64. Bloodhawk. The sun turned red with a deafening squawk, and in a moment the cattle all lay dead. The people of Little Wheeze are down to their last herd, and they need some help. Swarms of bloodhawks, crimson birds of prey with a taste for blood, have besetted the wastelands. Concerningly, they've recently moved on from cattle to travellers on the road. Number 65. Ogre. Flumph the ogre has had an awful day. First, the dwarf that he had saved for breakfast had just turned out to be a relatively short man. Secondly, he's had to walk for over 10 minutes to find lunch, and all he found was a disappointing deer. And now, he has gotten his head stuck between two trees that were too close together, and now he can't move. Those tasty-looking adventurers may help though, and he can always eat them afterwards. Number 66. Hobgoblin. It is the final of the shot put in the D&D Olympics. Gruad the Hobgoblin has trained for years to reach this point, and he knows if he fails to win, then he will be expelled from the clan. Unfortunately, this newcomer, a gnome who seemingly has impossible strength, broke the world record in the semi-final and is coming up next. As Gruad watches, he notices a glimmer of magic as the shot put flies. Hobgoblins like nothing less than cheaters. Number 67. Drow Elite Warrior. Drow can't stand the sunlight, and therefore hide away from most society, but Balthazar Fitzpatrick XIV has decided to move above ground and start a life here, although he now just goes as Barry. He had hoped to leave his life as a warrior behind, but when the city is beset by goblins and ogres, he wipes down his old sword and joins the fray. But will the townsfolk welcome their drow hero, or run him out of town as well? Number 68. Tribal Warrior. Ung has lived with her tribe her whole life. She was the best fisher and the best hunter that they had. But then one day she encountered a strange man who could rip through reality, and she followed him through a magical gate in the forest. Now she's stuck in the capital city of a foreign land and can't find her way home. However, she does need to eat, and there is a lot of livestock in the nearby fields. Number 69. Frost Giant. Wilhelm the Frost Giant sits atop his mountain, overlooking the village at the bottom. His nose is bright red and raw from blowing it, and he has a terrible headache. He lets out an almighty sneeze. Down in the village, several houses are blown over in the gale and the sleet turns to snow. Thankfully, the mayor has a plan. She has hired in a group of adventurers and have tasked them with stopping the weather or destroying the giant, whichever is needed. Number 70. Ghouls. Ghoultopia was once a happy land named Galtropia, but that was decades ago now. Nowadays, people can only travel during the hour each day when the sun gets through the thick layers of fog. The rest of the time is just hunting time for ghouls. They came without warning when the mist rolled in, and now the people live in constant fear. Will your party be able to save the people of this land, or will they fall prey to the devouring horde? Number 71. Hobgoblin Warlord. Homulus and Hom are hobgoblin brothers, completely inseparable. That is, until one day, their father dies and there is no clear succession. They both demand their father's land, and decide to claim it by any means necessary. Two close brothers forced into warfare, and the party arrive in the middle of all this. Which side do they take? Well, that's up to them. Number 72. Phase Spiders. Never, and I repeat never, trust a little old woman in D&D when she asks you to deal with her spider problem. If you do, you'll end up in a basement with a huge 8-legged creature blinking all over the shop while you try your best to fight arachnophobia and paralysation. These pesky creatures are called phase spiders, and you should definitely use them in your next campaign. Number 73. Mimic. Hey, you, come and help. The old man called from the castle. A mimic has infiltrated my library, and now I can't find it. If I leave it, it will devour me. The party rush in to go and help. As the old man shows them in, his features deform and he falls to the floor. Becoming one with the house-sized mimic the party are now inside of. Talk about the belly of the beast. Number 74. Kobold. The kobold tax is due today, and Mayor Umbridge can't pay. The tax which guarantees that the dragon under the mountain will stay content and not destroy them all, and he can't pay. He just hopes that his little plan works. There's a scratched knocking at the door and the little lizard waddles in. "Time to pay, my lordship!" Meanwhile, the adventurers the mayor hired are under the mountain, inspecting a dragon carcass that's been dead for over 100 years. The kobolds have been scamming the town again. Number 75. Incubus. It's hard enough when you find out that your husband of 10 years has been cheating on you. Now imagine that your husband of 10 years was actually a shape-shifting incubus who got a little too attached and is now being called back to the abyss where it's from, and now he wants to take you with him. Thankfully, a group of adventurers have just arrived in town. Do you call them for help, or do you just accept your fate? Number 76. Grell. What on earth is a grell in D&D? These things are like brains with beaks. They wait at the top of caverns or passages in dungeons and drop down on their prey, paralysing them and carrying them away. I like to throw them in as surprise encounters once the party has taken out a boss, as a little additional challenge. Although it may be fun to fill an entire cavern system with these guys, and then watch your players try to escape. Either way, they are quite fun to use. Number 77. Cockatrice. What's worse than a chicken? A lizard bat chicken. What's worse than a lizard bat chicken? A lizard bat chicken who could turn you to stone with a slight peck. What's worse than a petrifying lizard bat chicken? An angry one that you've been paid to retrieve from the dark cavern in the woods. Number 78. Rhinoceros. You know how any D&D party adopts any creature they come across? Well, what could be cuter than a plotline to reunite a baby rhino you find in the woods with its mother? What if I made it an awakened baby rhino, whose parents were captured by a travelling circus? Honestly, I'm not sure if this one's a plot hook or just a new character idea. Number 79. Bandit. A group of bandits confront the party on the road and then break down in tears, begging for help. Confused, the party agree to help, as it turns out the bandits have stolen a horrifically cursed item and need help destroying it. Whoever holds it gets sent to the abyss within the week. They've lost half their number, but now they can thrust it onto you, as they do, and quickly run away, leaving you with the curse. Number 80. Intellect Devourer. Professor Flumph is the foremost expert in extraplanar creatures in the Prime Material. The party have sought her out, but when they arrive, she's nothing more than a blithering idiot. In fact, everybody at this university is. Something has happened here, and why is the head of aberrations the only one able to string a sentence together? And why does he have an army of willing servants? Number 81. Air Elemental. The newest airship, the Spirit of the Winds, has just set sail from the capital. Unfortunately, after 5 minutes, it starts to flail randomly. A group of adventurers on board run to the captain to offer their assistance. Turns out the ship's architect placed 4 trapped air elementals inside the engine, and now those elementals are unhappy about being trapped. If the party kill them, the ship falls, but if they leave them alone completely, it might crash. Talk about a catch-22. Number 82. Bearded Devil. The cult of Mammon have captured you. They pride greed above all things, and so have given you one opportunity to escape. A pit fight where they can all bet on how you are killed. If you win, you'll be allowed to escape. You thought you'd be up against another prisoner, but when the opposite gate opens, a tall man with talons and snakes protruding from his neck approaches. Your goose is well and truly cooked. Number 83. Lizardfolk Shaman. Michael Rue, the Prime Material famous chef, has been kidnapped. It's the latest in a long line of culinary kidnappings. This time, however, the party have followed the perpetrators, a group of lizardfolk, to their encampment. It is there that they learn the horrible truth. Each chef is made to prepare a dish incorporating the previous captor, and if the party don't put a stop to it, Michael Rue is next week's appetizer. Number 84. Grick. Gricks are yet another D&D creature that aren't shown enough love. They are ambush predators set up in caves ready to pounce on poor adventuring parties looking for treasure. They are super stealthy and can do 2 attacks right away. I love introducing the party to these things and then putting them in places you wouldn't expect, making the party try to work out why these things are appearing everywhere. The Lord's Manor? Grick. The bathroom? Grick. The cavern? Oddly, no Grick, but the party won't be able to relax. Number 85. Goblin Boss. The Goblin Boss has caught the party and trapped them in a huge pit in the centre of their camp. One of you can leave, they told you, the one who kills the others. The party stare at each other while a swarm of goblins surround the pit, chanting and making bets. Are your friends going to turn on you? Or can you make a plan under all these watchful eyes? Number 86. Bugbear Chief. A bugbear can be a ruthless ally or a traitorous foe. They literally only care about their own needs and survival, and therefore forcing your party to work with them can be very fun, especially if they have something that the party desperately need. Give the bugbear the key to the dungeon, fused to their hand, or trap the party in a prison with them. They'll be useful. Until they aren't. Number 87. Deep Gnome. Pulling the sword from the stone is a common trope in any fantasy setting, so when your party is tasked with it, they aren't surprised. However, as they approach the stone in the tent, they are surprised to see it turn into a small man brandishing said sword, demanding they hand over all of their possessions. Seems they have fallen for a con. Number 88. Venom Troll. Glorbo the Troll was vanquished a year ago today and tossed into a cesspool full of toxic waste. Unfortunately, something in that kept it alive, mutated it, and now it wants revenge. It explodes into the town square in a splash of poison, demanding the adventurers who beat him return or he'll destroy the town. Number 89. Satyr. Satyrs are hedonistic creatures, demanding the very best of everything, so when the party's favourite tavern is subject to a visit from a food critic and a rather stout satyr walks in, they know they need to help him by all means necessary. Thankfully, the druid knows of a special spice guy. Number 90. Dryad. Don't burn down the forest or the dryads will attack. The townsfolk were warned many times before they expanded the town, but they didn't listen. Now the party have arrived to a huge attack from all sides by the spirits of the forest. The question is, do they join the town, or do they join the forest forces? Number 91. Zombie. Brainsbury's is the new chain of stores that were opened in the capital. The gimmick is that all of the shelves are stacked by rehabilitated undead. It gives them all a new lease of life, literally. All is fine and dandy until one day, one of the store's employees attacks, and all of the victims are reanimated. Is this an accident, or just a recruitment drive in this new, weird form of capitalism? Number 92. Lizardfolk. Lizardfolk are the most brutal, tribalistic creatures you can find. But what if they had democracy? The Green Party wouldn't be environmental, but they'd be openly hostile to anything that isn't green. Labour Party would not be about workers' rights, but about providing labour to the great dragon in the mountain. And the Conservatives would not be about low spending, but instead plundering nearby settlements to conserve their power. Now imagine throwing your party into the middle of all this. Who would they back? Number 93. Spined Devils. Spined Devils are the messengers of the Nine Hells. They are relatively weak and stupid compared to most devils though. Therefore, it is no surprise when one of them mistakes your party's tiefling for the intended recipient of infernal war plans. Now you have to decide what to do with this information, and whether or not to shoot the messenger. Number 94. Bullywug. What's moist, brutish, and the rightful ruler of all the swamps, thank you very much? Well, a bullywug would say themselves, as they must always be moist and have a superiority complex. So what happens when the party find one in the middle of the desert and it's down to its last jar of swamp sludge? How did it get here? And will the party help it get home? Number 95. Bugbear. A lot of D&D creatures have very literal names, such as an owlbear. So you can imagine my disappointment when I discovered a bugbear was just a tall, lanky, furry guy. However, this made me imagine a literal bugbear. A bear that was attacked by a werebug and now grows an exoskeleton and pincers every full moon. Let me know how you'd use this guy. Number 96. Giant Weasel. Rufus isn't just a weasel, he's a giant weasel. In fact, he's not just a giant weasel. He's a giant weasel owned by a powerful general in the Snow Queen's army. So when this group of rowdy adventurers kidnap him, call him Fluffy, and plan on using him against the Snow Queen herself, what is he to do but rebel and bite his way to freedom? Not all animals are your friends, people. Number 97. Lamia. The pyramids of Agiabar are home to untold riches, and so of course your players walk right in. After disarming countless traps and making their way to the central chamber, they discover the pile of coins is just an illusion. It is then that the Lamia announces its presence and tells them that they are the latest contestants in its game show. The winner gets to leave, the losers will stay as slaves or die. Are the party ready to play the game of their lifetime? Number 98. Lich. Can a lich make another person a phylactery? Well, given that the only condition seems to be an interior for which runes to be inscribed, I don't see why not. The next question is then, could a lich make another lich a phylactery? Well, there's really no reason why not. Therefore, you could have an entire cabal of liches containing the souls of other liches containing the souls of other liches. Killing one just means it reappears at another's feet, and then you have to do the whole process again. You'll need to kill them all to finally be free. Number 99. Displacer Beast. Friedrich, the mad scientist, keeps babbling about Feywild moon cycles and beasts that can hardly be seen. With no one else listening to him, he implores the party to travel with the next caravan, as the numbers of cycles indicate that it's going to be attacked. The party happily take his money and go with the caravan, pretty sure that animal attacks are completely random. I mean, what animal is intelligent enough to count Feywild moon cycles? It's a shame that they don't know about the Feywild origins of displacer beasts, or about their hunting expertise. Number 100. Ghasts. Not those giant floating jellyfish things from Minecraft, but instead ghouls that have been blessed by Orcus to have more power. While this normally means just a slight buff, there's nothing stopping you from increasing this thing's power to turn it into a general leading an army of ghouls that will devour an entire civilization. Creating Kratak, the Ghoul Lord, and the army of undead devourers is a great way to have a big bad that the party can't just take down on their own. It may even force them to work with the town guard. So there we have it, 100 different plot hooks for you to try out and have as much fun with as you want. My only request, if you do use any of these, just let me know how you use them in the comments below, and let me know what your favourite one was as well. If you did like this, please do like this video and do subscribe, and do check out the daily shorts because this is continuing. I've got them going off into the future, 100 wasn't the end. But for now, thank you very much for watching, I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Ta-ra.